He's alive! Before we get to today's video, I want to take a moment to talk about Patreon. That's right, we are on Patreon now, and we have a bunch of tiers with a bunch of great rewards. You can subscribe and get things like early access to all reactions, depending on your tier, depends on which reactions you get early access to. You can vote on polls exclusive to patrons that will help determine future reaction series and more. You will get to just have various choices in terms of like getting to choose future reactions I react to, getting to choose first impressions I check out, all kinds of different rewards, and possibly more coming in the future. We're still new at this. We're still figuring things out. It's a process. It's a process. But we have multiple tiers, so whatever you would be able to donate, if you're able and willing to donate, is appreciated. It helps me out, it helps the channel out, it helps us grow. It's going to help just, standardly. It's just something new to check out. Plus, if you like getting the reactions early, that's also a plus. But it is optional. If you're unable to do it, that's completely fine. All reactions will come to YouTube just a little bit later, a week later or so. So that all being said, thank you as always so much, and let's get on with today's video. And with that being said, hey everyone, welcome to Princess of Gay. I'm your host Connie, and today we are here with my blind reaction to Frankenstein, the newest interpretation of this story, 2025's Frankenstein, starring Oscar Isaac and I believe Jacob Elordi as the monster. So I think I don't know who else is in this. I do know this movie was, from what I've seen, pretty mixed in reception. A good amount of people really enjoyed it, and then there's a good amount of people who criticize it for a number of reasons. And I haven't really looked too deep into those reasons. I had seen some people saying there were like some deviations from the book and everything, and it's been a long time since I've read Mary Shelley's original novel. I think I might have only read it once. But I'm very curious to read this because I know, like, I think the most basic aspects to this, if I'm remembering right. And I don't even know if what I'm remembering is correct, or if it's based on other interpretations that I've seen. So I'm not 100% sure. Let's go over like the basic stuff I remember. So Dr. Frankenstein, mad scientist type guy, trying to create life, stitches together bodies, and ends up like bringing this creature to life. If I'm remembering right, I might be wrong on this, so take this with a grain of salt, but I think the popular interpretation of like the lightning bolt hitting and causing Frankenstein to come to life is not actually what happened in the book. If the lightning was in the book, it was just because it was a stormy night, and it's not, the lightning didn't actually do anything to bring the monster to life. It was Dr. Frankenstein's experimentations and science and all, and the lightning storm was just weirdly in other media attributed to it. I think. I'm not 100% on this, any of this. But the monster is made out to be, this horrible creature and everything, hated by the people, hated by his creator. And like, it's often a commonly interesting thing in the modern day to note that the monster is literally the victim of the story. Because that's the point of it and everything. But it's like there's apparently a side of people who in the modern day are weirdly trying to pretend like that's not the case. Like there's this, I think it's on Twitter. I think it's a Twitter post that keeps going viral every so often. where it's like someone said like, oh, you probably think Frankenstein's monster is the victim. And the response was like, yes, that's literally the point of the book. It's like that goes viral every so often. I wonder if I could find it. I wonder if I could just find it like really quickly on like Google. I'm not going to search forever if I can't find it real quickly. Tweet Frankenstein's monster, the victim, point of the story. I'll just put that in if I can find it. It would probably come up from that. Okay, wow, I actually found it. Okay, so it wasn't based on a tweet. It was based on an article from The Sun, but it was on social media, on like Twitter and Threads and stuff. The Sun apparently published an article saying Snowflake students claim Frankenstein's monster was misunderstood and is in fact a victim. And then this person responded, but that's the book. That's what the book is about. And it's like, yeah, that's literally the point. But it's like, there's a lot of people who see a lot of these old monster movies and have like this very narrow-minded interpretation of them based on whether it's like based on the movies they saw or their like weird twisted interpretation of the books or other media that talks about them, or maybe they've never even seen or read or taken part in any media involving it and are just going based off of what they've heard. That could be the case too. But it's like it's just a really funny, interesting thought. And I'm very curious to see like how this movie handles things, like what everything like in it like tries to discuss in terms of theming and messaging. And I'm very curious to see how they handle like the dichotomy between Victor Frankenstein and his monster. And I'm just also curious to see who else is in this, because again, I only know Victor Frankenstein is played by oh, I said his name and now I'm not remembering it. Moon Knight, the guy who was in Moon Knight and Star Wars. Oh my god, why is my mind blanking? I said his name too. Oscar Isaac. And then I believe the monster is played by Jacob Elordi. Because I think I've heard that, and I'm not 100% sure who Jacob Elordi is outside of this role. But I think I've heard people talking about that in regards to this movie. And like I said, I don't know who else is in this. I don't know what else to expect. And I think I want to say this is Guillermo del Toro, which is exciting because Guillermo del Toro really does hammer in the themes and messages of things. He's great at that. He's so good. Watch Pan's Labyrinth. That movie is not what you would expect it to be at all. But yeah, I'm excited to see this. This is a donation reward, by the way, for Venom, so thank you, Venom. And hopefully I end up really enjoying this. For those of you who are watching these pre-thoughts, you're watching on YouTube, that means. And so just know that I recorded this the same day I recorded the episode 2 reaction to the 2020 Dracula series. I just thought it was a fun idea to record both of them on the same day. You know? Like Dracula and Frankenstein. That just sounded like a fun idea to me. But if you're watching this on Patreon, you'll be seeing both of them go up on the same day anyway. So you'll probably have already seen the Dracula episode go up right before this. But yeah. That being said, thank you all so much for tuning in. Let's get into today's movie and see what we have in store. Hold up just a sec. Before you click that link down in the description below to get to today's video, I want to remind you of all the awesome content we have both on this channel and the Princess of Gaming channel. Let's check it out. Welcome to the Afterthoughts. We'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So I did a brief look at like differences between the book and this movie adaptation, and some notable differences include that in the book, Elizabeth was Victor's fiance, not his brother's, and that it ends like, or that that Adam is more vengeful, and it's more of a story of vengeance and like unchecked ambition and stuff, while this movie is more of a nicer take on it, I guess you could say. It's more about forgiveness and mutual acceptance of moving forward and leaving an abusive, like terrible past behind them. It's meant to be more sympathetic and more gentle, more friendly and nice, and less about the vengeance, less about the intense emotional rage. Even the ending, like in the book, Adam dies. I'm calling him Adam, by the way. I'm not going to call him the creature or the monster. Even though I know that's technically not entirely his name. But I'm going to call him that because I want to humanize him here. He does die. He actually commits suicide after Victor's death. So there's notable differences, but I think the main core of the story is still mostly the same. It's not a direct adaptation, but more of like a new, fresher, more sympathetic take on it. And in the book, the monster is still the victim. That's still the point. And he becomes this vengeful murderer because of the circumstances of his creation and the negligence and abuse of his creator. But here again, it's more about like the forgiveness side of things, which I was saying at the end, it's like I kind of wish that he didn't. And I don't think he needed to be solely vengeful. I actually really love the more sympathetic, kindly side that they portrayed for him. But instead of saying at the end, I forgive you, I think a better line that would have changed kind of the meaning, but still kept that kind of vibe to it would have been, I release you, or I release myself from you, or something more akin to that. I let you go. That would be a great one. I let you go would be more akin, and not forgiving him. Because forgiveness is all well and nice, and it's like this ideal take on things, but I don't think you should forgive your abusers. I don't think you should be expected or forced to like think like that. If someone can forgive their abusers, if they're in a good place to do that, that's fine. But I don't really feel like he had any reason to do so. I don't really feel like he would have in the end. Because honestly, Victor's apology felt very forced and sudden, and just like it wasn't actually earned. It's like the idea, I guess, is that, oh, he felt bad after hearing about everything Adam went through after they got separated and everything that led to where they are now after they reunited. And he saw how much of a monster he was, saw how much, Victor saw how much of a monster he was. Not Adam. I want to specify that. And he felt guilt for having become like that. And even the line about like, oh, I hated the name Victor because my father gave it to me. I resented it. But now I want you to give it back to me. Say it in the way that you first said it to me, out of like love and whatnot. And it's like, I don't know. It just feels like Victor and the creature, Adam, sorry, having a reconciliation in the end. It felt forced. And didn't feel natural considering everything they'd gone through, everything Adam was put through by Victor. I really feel like, again, I don't think he needed to like kill him directly. I don't think he needed to like be super, super vengeful and be super aggressive and violent. But saying again something like, I let you go, and not forgiving him would have sent the message that he can't forgive someone like that, but that he's going to move on and live in spite of everything that Victor did to him. That he's going to continue on with his life, that he's going to let go of that horrible, traumatic past and start anew. And that would have been a much better way to close it out, in my opinion. But that's me. I think a lot of that comes down to the fact that this movie made me hate Victor so aggressively. Like, if you've watched my reactions to the Dragon Prince and know my hatred for Viren, that's not even anywhere near my hatred for for Victor and where that was at. So let's put it that way. Anyone who watches my Dragon Prince reactions might be surprised at that, but like, I hated Victor here more than I hate Viren. And like, everything happening, his brother's death, his sister-in-law's death, were all his fault. Everything was his fault. He caused so many deaths, so much pain, so much misery. It's just, I hate it. I hate it. And you're supposed to. Because again, this is a take that's supposed to be, again, less a tale about like violent vengeance and more of a tale of, understanding and care and gentle sympathy. You're supposed to get emotionally attached to Adam and feel for him and care for him. You're supposed to see him as the victim while you see Victor as the, abusive father figure. It's absolutely, like, this take is absolutely a metaphor on abusive parentage. Another reason I don't think the forgiveness part at the end works so well. But this movie was like obviously super investing. I was like in it the entire time. It had a great cast, by the way. As much as I hated Victor Frankenstein, Oscar Isaac obviously did a phenomenal job. I'm not blaming the actor, never blame the actor. They're just performing a role. He did a phenomenal job. Jacob Elordi as Adam was fantastic. You had David Bradley in this. You had Mia Goth. You had just so many amazing actors who all did a fantastic job. Every single one just really nailed their roles. And honestly, Guillermo del Toro knocks it out of the park at least more often than not. This was honestly masterful. It was so beautifully made. It was visually stunning. It was emotionally grounding. It was so good. And like I said, the general consensus I had seen for this movie prior, like, had been kind of mixed. I'd seen some people praising it. I'd seen some people not liking it. And again, part of that was due to, I guess, the differences in from the book and everything. There are some people who think like adaptions need to be almost one-to-one, which I very strongly disagree with. I believe that adaptions should take liberties because, one, when you're adapting a book to a movie, you have to take liberties because of time, because of the medium, and so much more. You just can't do a one-to-one adaptation. It's not feasible for so many reasons. And for two, I just feel that makes no sense. It's boring. if you're going to be adapting something into a movie here, whether it's another movie that you're remaking, whether it's a book, whether it's a comic, doing a one-to-one adaptation is pointless. Because then it's like, just engage with the original source material. If it's one-to-one, there's no point in making it. You don't want it to stray too far from the source material, because then a lot of times it can miss the point. You can make changes that really hurt the overall themes and messages, such as the live action remake of Lilo and Stitch, or you can make changes that actually elevate, which I believe that this did. I believe that making Adam softer, making him more sympathetic, elevates the themes and messages that the original story told, instead of just making him a violent, vengeful killer. And so I think that this is an example of a really good adaptation, because it's elevated through what they did new for it. And again, the acting, the cinematography, all of that was fantastic as well. The sound design, it was all really good, that led to a really fantastic film. And Frankenstein is one of those books that it's like, people argue, is like, is this sci-fi? Is it horror? Is it a drama? Is it a tragedy? And it's a little bit of all of that. It is considered like one of the first true sci-fi stories. It is also considered a horror classic. It is considered a dramatic tragedy. It's kind of all of this stuff, and that's what makes it interesting. It's not constrained by a single quantifiable identifier. It's a little bit of multiple things that all blend together well to make a story about abuse, trauma, and in terms of the original story by Mary Shelley, revenge. And in terms of this adaptation by Guillermo del Toro, forgiveness. And whichever one you like better, and whichever one you or if you would like prefer like more of a middle ground like me, that's a personal thing. That's on a your opinion, your viewpoint basis. But I think that either way, the movie as a whole is absolutely stunning. There's so many scenes, so many moments, so many things that you can see coming, like the old blind man dying. Like, that was obviously going to happen. It was obvious that Adam was going to be blamed for it and be attacked by the family. Yeah, you could see that coming. But even with those moments that were predictable, I've always said predictability, yeah, that's correct, isn't inherently bad. Predictability is only bad if it hurts the overall, like, effect of the scene, which is not always the case. Being able to see that coming doesn't take away from the emotional impact of it here, because of how the scene is done, and because in the end Adam does get to tell him what he found out about himself, and the old man still sees him as just human, as a man, despite everything. It really makes you feel. And even though you can see that at the end, like, Victor's going to cause Elizabeth's death, when he actually, like, picks up the gun and is going to shoot the monster, but she jumps in the way and it causes her to die, it still hits you, and you feel rage. You feel so much anger at Victor in that moment. I was seething. And that's good. That's the emotion you should be feeling. This movie was, like, Again, personally for me, this movie was so close to perfection. If that ending were different, if the ending were more of, again, not vengeance, but not forgiveness either, the middle ground that I suggested, I think this would have been a perfect movie for me. It's that close. It's one of those movies that are like kind of teetering on the edge a bit. That's how good I felt this movie was. That's like, the Nosferatu movie that came out that was also really good? I think this is better. Like, I don't even think it's really like that, like, unclear. I think this is like very, like, notably better. And I liked the Nosferatu movie. I really did. I liked it a lot more than I was expecting to. Um, but this, I think there is a certain poetry to this, I think is a good way to put it. Like, I know that a lot of people will disagree with me on this, and I don't give a shit. This is my opinion, and I'm going to say it. I think this is a generational film. While not perfect, I think this is a generational film. I think this is a film that should be remembered for decades and decades to come. And that should be praised and win all kinds of awards. I don't know what of any kind of awards it might have won. But I think that this movie should have definitely, like, had a higher score than it did on, like, all of these sites. And I think it should have been even more well received rather than a bit mixed. I think this movie was fantastic. It made me cry, it made me rage. It got like every heavy emotion out of me. And it's like I'm really glad I finally watched it, because this is one I've been putting off for a little bit. I had been like wanting to get to it, but at the same time, there was almost a little bit of me that was afraid to get to it, and so I'm glad I finally chose to do so. I don't know when this came to streaming, exactly, but I've been wanting to actually check this out for quite a while. Let me see here, because I know it came out last year. Oh, it was Netflix exclusive. It was released on Netflix. Oh, I didn't. Oh no, it did have a limited theatrical run a month beforehand. Okay, okay. I knew it was on Netflix. I didn't know it was Netflix exclusive though. Outside of that limited theatrical run, which nowadays isn't even limited. It was released in theaters for October 17th, but then came to Netflix on November 7th. It's like, honestly, at this point, that's normal for a movie, which is sad, and it shouldn't be the case, but still. But yeah, I didn't know this was actually made for Netflix. Okay. So, yeah, I mean, I guess it hasn't been like super super long, but when I saw reviews like coming in, which would have been right around then, so November to December, January, February, March, like 4 months ago. This is actually more recent than I realized. I thought this was a little older. I knew, again, I knew it was last year, but I thought it was like earlier last year. Um, I don't know. Time is wacky to me lately. Like, things have been like in weird like frames of time in terms of like how long it's been since certain things. This I've been the past year or two, I've just been kind of like fucked up by that. I don't know. Some people have said it's been since COVID that they've been fucked up like this. But honestly, like, COVID, like when that hit in 2020, it didn't really like affect my perception of time that badly. It's only been the past couple years that that perception has been fucked up, and realizing like COVID was 6 years ago. The fuck? It's like it's only really started to hit me recently. So yeah. I thought this could come out a lot earlier than it did. But either way, either way, I I really hope we get just more stuff like this from Guillermo del Toro and others. I know Robert Eggers is doing a werewolf film, I think this year actually. And I do like a good werewolf film, so that's exciting. Hoping that ends up being really good. There's a lot they could do with werewolves too. There's a lot of werewolf films that have come out in recent memory that have done a lot of different things, and a lot of classic ones that have done a lot of different things. So we'll see. Um, in the meantime, though, let me know in the comments below, what did you think of Frankenstein 2025? What did you think of the differences between this and the original story, if you've read the story? What did you think of the ending, especially? Like, do you think he should have forgiven Victor? Do you think that was the right thing, or do you think it would have been better if it was more of a middle ground thing? Or are you more on the side of vengeance? Maybe you are, I don't know. Just let me know your thoughts down below. And thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.